Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
Hello.
Is this Fred Moran, the Redbone man?
He died.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well,
About an hour ago.
An hour ago.
Yeah.
Well,
What's up, Steve?
Oh, man, I just needed to catch up with you, Fred. It's been way too long since we talked, and
hell, I've been down the dumps. I got one coon dog. I can't buy a dog nowhere. I used to brag. I got so many contacts. I said, I'll never be at a loss a dog. On a Sunday, my phone rings one call after another. Somebody tell me of a good dog to buy.
Yeah.
I ain't got I got a few calls Sunday, but they're just to talk and tell me how they're doing and that. I finally had a call just an hour ago from somebody reliable that I've dealt with for 30, 40 years. He's 90 years old. If he told me he met the Pope in the woods, I would believe it. And
Okay.
so it looks like I'll be making a trip to see a red dog pretty soon.
All right. Well, yeah, well, Fred, that's great. And, and I want to talk about that with you because I've always found that interesting about you is that, I know you love a good dog and you certainly know a good one when you see it, but you don't get too attached to them, do you?
Never get attached to them.
Yeah.
Now, this is the truth. There's 7 dogs buried in my yard, and I'm 86 years old. That was 7 that I wouldn't sell, that I kept for myself, that I thought they were above average or way above average, or they never got the chance. It's a privilege to be buried here. Believe
I got
me.
you. Well, I should inform you that when I called you and you picked up the phone, I pushed that red button. So you and I are recording what should be a masterpiece once we're through. Have you got a little time to talk to me
I got
today?
all kind of time. That's
Awesome.
all I got is time.
Well,
I don't know how
feeling.
much. I don't know how much, but I got some time.
Well, that's good. Well, let's. Is the word out on this dog yet, or is it something you're keeping to yourself till you check him out?
No, this one the guy told me about. He's only 14 months old, and he says, Fred, he looks real good to me. He says, and the kid that owns him, he says, is coming back here. I think he said Thursday or Friday. And I'm going hunting with it again. And he says, if it looks good, I'll call you the next morning. And I said, well, I'll leave within an hour after you call me if you tell me he's right. And I said, that's one good thing. I don't have nobody to answer to. I take off when I feel like it. I got lucky. I've tried a gang of dogs. It took a lot back. Some of them I felt with some time and patience, they might make a decent dog, but they weren't what I was looking for. I want one of them right now dogs, not tomorrow dogs, or another couple months. I want one right now. And I got lucky on a little female. She's 2 years old. She's a size I like, got a good mouth. She is a tree dog. I'm tickled to death with her. Now, she bothered some possums for me, and I thought I had her broke. But Saturday night, Patty and I went hunting, and I think we saw 7 coon in a tree that I sent her up to. We got on some guy's property that he don't want nobody on it. And he gave us a bunch of static once before, and I didn't want to get caught. I started on legal property. I called the guy and told him I was coming. But I can't help where a coon runs. Well, we thought they were treed up on the hill. I said, we could drive up there. No sense walking. We drove up there, and they weren't treed. If they were, they moved. I said, oh, man, they're going the wrong way. So we had to try to head them off at the pass. I got up there, they got treed and treed like they should. And she brought one of her blue dogs, and it's a good tree dog and it's loud. And mine for a little dog is loud. And
Yeah.
they're treeing good. I said, you go up there and get the dogs. I'm going to keep the truck going because if that guy ever hears them, he'll be down here. And I kept going around. And I finally called her on the cell phone. I says, you get the dogs yet? She said, I'm just getting to them now.
Wow.
I said, don't bother looking up the tree because she has a habit. She'll search a tree till tomorrow. She has to see that coon. Not me. I'll find that coon in 5 minutes or I'm gone. And so anyhow, I said, don't even search a tree. Just put them both on a leash and come on down. And well, the dogs are still treeing. Finally, they shut up. So I knew she had a hold of them. I says, do you know where to come to? She says, I think so. Blow the horn one time. And I did. She finally heard it. So she said, I'm coming the right way. And she did. So I was thankful to have her along that night. She got him out there to the road. And that guy undoubtedly never heard the dogs. He probably had the TV on. And he was a good, 400 yards away. But I figured up on the hill, he might hear their voices carry. And then we went to another place after that. You're not allowed to hunt in there, but we saw about 6 or 7 coon there. Saw one run a little bit of grass area, and then he went into I said, there's a hole in that tree. He ran right into that hole and went up in that den tree there. And we didn't bother turning.
So you subscribe to the low light method of hunting, right? Keep your lights down when you go.
Yep. No, I belong to the no light club.
No. Friends out there in podcast land,
you might as well strike matches. The place, this one place that I hunt, naturally I can't divulge this because somebody will hear, but they patrol it till 11 o'clock. Now you go in there after 11 o'clock, you don't have to worry. But I park usually at a friend's place that adjoins it. Mm-hmm. He don't care what I do. He's got 87 acres there. And I could treat coon on his property. But I want to get into the good property where nobody coon hunt. At one time, this place was open for hunting and everybody was allowed to hunt. And they closed it for everything at the present time. About, I'm guessing probably 20 years ago, they finally discovered they got an overabundance of deer. I went there the first day, didn't even take a gun. I just wanted to see how many people were hunting there. And I went and checked you have to sign in and sign out. I seen people there clear from Wisconsin. How they found out about it being open in Pennsylvania. They drove 600 miles down to hunt deer in Pennsylvania. And if you've seen, there was snow that day, and it was just like kids on school day pulling toboggans down off the hill. Everyone had a deer to take back to the car. They killed over 400 and I believe 430 in deer in one day. That's a lot of deer.
That is incredible.
They
How
put a
big
hurting on that place, but it came, and then they start open the season about just for 2 or 3 days, and about every other year. There's still abundance of deer in there. They'll never lose all them deer. But it is a sanctuary for deer. There's some good ones in there.
Well, let me jump in here just a minute. I always was amazed by the number, realizing that Pennsylvania does not have a season where you can hunt bear with dogs.
They'll never do it. They'll never do it. If they did, there'd be. I told this to game wardens. I told it to people. It'd be bumper to bumper from West Virginia plates all over all our back roads.
Well,
because them guys love to hunt bear with dogs.
Oh yeah,
and you could. I treat three bear in 1966 with the dogs. I treed a bear this year. Me and Patty were hunting together. We treed one Memorial Day. And I didn't go all the way down to the tree. I stayed up on the hill. She went down. She
Yeah.
said it was a big one.
Well,
And
here's the thing I wanted to say real quick is
Go
it
ahead.
always amazed me, though, given that you didn't use dogs, and that there was only basically a 3-day season or something like that, a real short kill season.
Oh, we got a
on bear.
longer season now.
Okay, but back in the day, they would kill a phenomenal number of bears just in that whatever that short
Oh, yeah, in
season
that
was.
short period of time. They killed 2 this year behind I live next door to my kid. They killed 2 behind his house this year. Now, we got bear, but I don't consider this bear country where I'm living at. But they killed 2 behind my kid's house and 1 in the woods that I coon hunt 2 miles from here. So that was 3 in this area that I'm aware of.
Yeah, well, I was always amazed by the fact that they kill so many bear in Pennsylvania. Of course, back in the day, we were hunting them in West Virginia at a time when they weren't that plentiful. And we had to really work for them. So I said, how in the world do they do that? Are you allowed to bait for bear up there? No? No bait?
No bait.
Wow.
Just go out there, sit on a rock, and hope one comes by. But we got a lot of bear.
Yeah.
I seen a bear about 2 weeks ago going up a hill about 2 miles from here. He's going right across the field, going up a hill. I told my kid about it. He said he's probably going up to that ball field up on top of the hill, play with the kids. I said, yeah. But,
Yogi, huh?
Yeah. But,
so you don't have much trouble with your dogs running bear? Well, you said you and Patty
not
did
as a rule. That one we treat Memorial Day. What had happened, we were in the same woods the night before, and we run a track, and the dogs, I said, I don't know what that is, but that ain't no coon. I told Patty. She says, what do you think it is? I said, I don't know. Maybe a bear or a bobcat. And anyhow, they treed. They finally got treed. When we got in there, I shouldn't say this. Everybody will say, you got them false trees. There was nothing in the tree. I says, well, how could a bear or anything fool dogs on a tree? So that she came the next day to hunting. She said, where are you going? I said, we're going right back to the same place. I said, we're going to hit that track and we're going to tree it this time and see something. I did. The track went almost the same way, only further. It went down over a steep hill. I said, I ain't going down that bottom of that hill. I know what one looks like. I was about 100 yards from her. I just didn't want to climb that hill back up there. I said, take a look, see what you see. And she says, there's one up there. She came back up. And so here's the best part. We went from there to another woods about 5 miles away, and they run another track just like they were looking at it. I said, what the heck is it? Well, they finally came back the way they went, come right down the creek, crossed the road, and went into like a big rock ledge with a big hole in it. I looked on the road, and there's mud tracks of a bear going across the road. So that was 2 we run in one night. And I don't consider my dogs bear dog, the ones I had at that time. The Buster dog, I sold him to Dan Gardner down Mississippi. He was always straight for me. I could count on him. I couldn't believe that he run on that bear, but he did. And they put that in that rock ledge. And as far as I'm concerned, that bear's still living down there.
Well, let me ask you something. Was that in June of the year?
May.
Well, I don't know at what time they start rutting up your way, but usually down in Virginia, West Virginia, where I came from, the bears were rutting in June. They're out there, and when you see a bear in the area that you didn't usually see one, that's why it was those boar bears out there looking around. And of course then they're cubs are born in January usually.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, that's interesting.
The game commission up here, they'll put an announcement in the newspaper, not all the time, but most of the time. People that are interested in studying bears and wanting to see them, they'll invite them to go to a den, and they'll pull the cubs, they'll tranquilize the mother, and they'll pull them cubs out and take movies. They'll let each person handle a cub and everything else, and then they'll put them back in there. They do that on 3 or 4 bear every year where they know their den's at.
Well,
and it's, people that want to see bears up close, there's their chance.
Yep.
And they might have 50, 60 people go along on that. And
well, I don't think he was taking that many people with him at the time, but one of the foremost bear biologists in the country and most respected was a guy named Gary Alt, absolutely, from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I've heard Gary speak, and I saw him in a film that he had of he went to check a bear. Maybe we talked about this on a podcast before, Fred, but like my dad said, if I may have told this story, but I want to hear it again myself. Anyway, Gary had a bear denning in this lady's yard, right in her front yard in a hollow tree. And he came up on the porch, and she said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm here to check on your bear." And she's like, "What bear? I don't have a bear." But yeah, that's great.
We had this year. What the heck was I going to tell you about a bear story? My daughter-in-law's got 2 pet goats.
Okay.
Well, the one took off, but it had Mike's dog collar on with his name tag on. Okay. And it took off, and it went about 1.5 miles from here. And the woman caught it on her porch, and she called him, and he went out there and got the bear. And
You mean the goat, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the goat. Okay. She says, "You better keep this goat tied because we got a bear in this area." And she says, "And it's going to get this goat." And she showed Mike on the window where the bear puts its paws up against the window there. And straight line, it ain't more than 1 mile. But ever since them goats have got older, and they're pretty tame now, they stay on the porch just like a dog and so forth. They stay in the yard. But
a goat's an interesting animal, isn't it? I was in Tractor Supply one day, and a lady had 2 little kids. I mean, they looked like pups, looked like little terriers, Oh man, were they cute, but I couldn't imagine when they grow up.
Scott Perky's mother's got over 140 of them.
Oh my.
That's something to see. And they got white deer out there and everything else.
Oh yeah.
And
that's pretty amazing. Well, listen, I want to go back to the story about, you got me real interested in this little female you got now. That's good. Tell me more about her.
Well, I bought a dog down in the area. It was in Tennessee. I bought a dog off a guy in Tennessee, and it was pretty much what he said it was. He told me he'll treat a lot of coon, but he's tight-mouthed. Well, I keep hoping that he's going to open him a little bit more each day, but he didn't. And to me, when you got a tight-mouthed dog, the only thing I ever seen a tight-mouthed dog open better on is if you put him in water or you hunt him in real thick brush. Yeah. They'll start barking a little bit better. Well, we got the thick brush, but we don't have the water. And he didn't open any better than what the man told me he did. But he was a tree dog. Well, I got lucky and I sold him. I said, "Is there anything else down there?" And he suggested a guy that he knew real well. He says he fools with dogs all the time, just like you. He might have something over there. Well, I called the guy who you know, I'm sure, Johnny Kaufman. I've known Johnny for over 50 years. I never bought nothing of him. off him. He sent a female up to breed to my Hickory dog years ago, and that was the only dealings we ever had. Well, Johnny told me he got a young female that's a heck of a tree dog, and made your heart beat a little faster, so I bought her. And she surprised me. She was better than what he described her, at least in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. She ain't the answer to everything, but she's shown a lot of promise. I've been hunting her. I don't have no other dogs, so she gets all the hunting there is. If I go hunting, it was with her, nothing else. And she is a tree dog.
How old is she now, Fred?
2.
Okay.
And she's got a good mouth on her. And I've had 4 different people try and buy her. And I says, nope. I says, I sell her like I usually do. Then I'm out of dog, and I look too darn long. I ain't going to go through this again. I said, I'm not saying I won't get rid of her somewhere down the way, but right now she's staying here. But she started treeing a couple possums on me. I did all my tricks to try and stop her. Thought I had her stopped. And that night, Saturday night, Patty said there was a possum and a coon in the same tree. Well, I've done that with good coon dogs. Already had that happen. But I said, what did she tree, the possum or did she tree the coon? He says she was going crazy on that tree. She says my dog was back from it a little bit. And but the trees almost touched the way they were there. So I didn't go up the tree. I didn't see it. But when I get one like that that's as good as she is, I'm determined that I'm going to work the heck out of her. I'm going to break her or something. I'm determined to do that. But she is a nice dog. I got her to heel, follow me out of the woods. I don't need a leash. I come back from hunting. I just open the gate on the kennel and she'll go right in. So she didn't do that before. So I'm spending some time with her, and she's a project, but I'm going to solve this project. So.
Oh, you're gonna sell her then?
Pardon me?
You say you're gonna sell her?
No.
Oh, okay.
She ain't for sale.
Oh.
Like I say, the only way I'll sell her if I find a better one. But right now, she's the only thing I got, and I like her. She's quiet in the kennel and everything else. But there's better ones. There's better ones out there, but I ain't found them.
Before I ask you about this prospect that you've got, you said you're going to go drive and take a look at it. I have a question I want to ask you, because I think you're the guy that probably will be as close to having maybe the answer, at least some perspective on it. I get a lot of mail. I get a lot of messages. Usually they're sent on Messenger through Facebook online. But all kinds of different questions about training and all that. And I also get a lot of requests for dogs. Do you have any dogs for sale? Do you have pups for sale?
No, I don't. I don't know of a good dog. I mean, a really good, one. He may sell it, but I doubt it. I know of an English dog a guy got, and it ain't bad.
I got you. Well, here's the question. This fellow was asking if I knew anybody that had a good pup trainer for sale. Now, before you answer this, I want to give you my view, my perspective on this. For those of you out there listening that don't know what a pup trainer is, well, I imagine it's self-explanatory, but that's usually an older dog that's past its prime, maybe. Maybe it's already titled out in the hunts or whatever. And it used to be fairly easy to find these dogs and to start a pup with, that this dog would actually have you. It seems in my view, Fred, that there's a very slim market out there anymore for dogs that you would call pup trainers. I believe people are keeping fewer dogs And if it's a good dog, they keep him till it dies. What's your thoughts on that?
There's definitely less good dogs out there than ever before, in my opinion. And when somebody gets a dog, just because it got some age, don't mean he's going to get rid of it to somebody so they can train their pup. They figure, oh, Spot's been a good dog for 7 years. Hell, I might as well just keep him till he dies.
I agree with you. I think that's the prevalent view anymore. Wasn't always that way though.
No. There's a lot of them. He's no trouble. He don't carry on. He don't crap everywhere and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll just keep him. I've had him 8 years. Might as well keep another 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Hey, I not to change the subject.
Go right ahead.
It's still dogs. Your buddy sold a puppy for $2,000 when it was 8 weeks old to a boy up here, and you know who I'm talking about. And he came down and hunted with me twice. This boy's studying to be a state trooper. In fact, he's supposed to be graduating next month. And I seen the dog 2 times go, and he looked pretty darn good. And he's had him in 3 hunts and won all 3.
Wow.
A dog is, I think he's right at a year old right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's been training his own coon since he's 4 months old.
Isn't that amazing?
He's a little bigger than I like, but that's the only hole I got in him, and he's a walker, of course.
Yeah, there's that.
But he's a nice dog. He's going to go a long way with him. I don't know if he counted me in on this or not, but I said if you ever, for some reason, decide to get rid of him, you call Fred Moran first.
Well, you heard it right here first on the Gone to the Dogs podcast, folks. Fred Moran has been tempted to buy a walker dog. Did you ever own a walker? Have you owned some over the years?
Yeah. I had one that I prayed every day that something would happen, lightning would strike me and turn red. But I called him Tree Talking Tom, and he was good. He was good. The guy I sold him to resold him for $8,000, and that guy in turn called me up. He found out where it came from originally. This was 20-some years ago. He won a lot of PKC hunts and that. He says, if you ever find another dog like Tom, be sure and call me. Well, I'm still looking. And but he was a nice dog. He was a real nice dog. I had a blue dog when I was growing up. It was darn good. People would probably call it English blue dog. He didn't have papers. I know where he came from. I traced it back to where he came from and everything. If they had night hunts, well, we did put them in night hunts at that time. The great hunts had 4 times more dogs than registered. Yeah. And they were the limit. And at that time, I'm sure you're old enough to remember, they had NCA hunts. They were the big hunts, National Coon Hunt Association.
Yeah.
Eddie Ross started them.
Yeah.
And that was all there was around here back in the 50s and 60s when hunts first started. Mm-hmm. He never got credit for it, but a guy by the name of Dick Crowell from Prospect, Pennsylvania, is the one that started night hunts in Pennsylvania. And he had elimination hunts here. And he wrote me a letter, and he says he knew I hunted all the time and that. He said, why don't you come up? The first hunt I went to was in 1956. I just wanted to see what they were about. And I went out on a cast, and I know you remember this guy. You probably never met him, but you heard of him. Vinny Orlando.
Oh, yeah. I corresponded with him a lot.
Used to write columns all the time.
For Full Crime Magazine, usually.
Yeah. Well, Vinny and I were friends clear back in the 50s. And he says, I'm coming down your place to hunt at Prospect, Pennsylvania. I hope to see you. So I went out on his cast with him and his buddies. And I forget who won the cast, to be truthful, whether it was Vinny or who. But we treated some coon and had a good time. And they had, I'm guessing at the time, they probably had around 40 dogs, which is a lot of. I do remember this. They only had 9 dogs in the registered hunt, but they had about 40 in the grade hunt, which was a big thing. After night hunt started 2 or 3 months of hunting, everybody got a registered dog all of a sudden. There was papers all over
Oh,
for
yeah.
dogs. And they were all registered. They soon outnumbered the grade dogs. But anyhow, we had this blue dog. And a buddy that hunted with me all the time, Eddie Vacacia, he kept begging me for that blue dog. But I knew what he was and how good he was. And I thought, nah, I don't want to get rid of him. I don't have nothing else in his class. And I never forget, there was a guy, I know he's passed on by now. Ralph Lee from Mansfield, Ohio, had blue ticks, but a little black and tan he called Fly. He used to put in the night hunts all the time. And she won about everything she was put in. And we had a crowd of at least 30 people went along on a cast. They wanted to see that Fly dog with the blue dog. We had 5 first strikes and 5 first trees on that Fly dog. When we went to a night hunt after that, we'd have a crowd of 30 people every time go on our cast. And that dog, I finally sold it to Eddie. He gave me too good a deal money-wise and gun-wise and everything else. And the dog disappeared. Well, I know what happened to it. At least I think I do. I know who I felt got it, but he got rid of the dog so quick. And I may be wrong, but I felt a guy in our area got the dog, and the dog naturally be dead now. I know the guy that I assumed took him. He's dead, but
well,
I had dogs
communication.
of other colors, and I was telling Patty about it a couple of nights ago. Grayson Paul called me up one time, the blue tick guy. He said, Fred, do you have any use for a little wee collie type hound? He said, one come into the farm. I asked every farmer around here. Nobody knows whose dog it is. And it's treed all the time. Got a coon or a squirrel or something. I said, I'll come down Saturday night and go hunting with you. I come down, the dog, he didn't look like much, and mostly like a collie dog, only smaller. And we took him hunting. He treated a coon or two. I traded Grayson an old car I had for the dog. The car had run. I was using it for hunting all the time. Put the dog in the back seat. I traded that car for that dog. And that was a good dog. And at that time, I had the magic dog that I thought was pretty. I thought he was king of the hill. But I wouldn't say he'd do it majority times because he wouldn't. But I seen that little collie get several trees on magic, and that disappointed me. I thought, I got to get rid of this dog. I don't want a customer coming here for a puppy and see that collie dog beat magic. So I put an ad in Mountain Music Magazine, and a guy by the name of W.A. Wimpy from Gadsden, Alabama, bought him off of me. I never heard from him after. I hope he liked him, but hell, that's been 60 years ago, longer than that. But he's just a mutt, but boy, he sure could treat coon.
Well, I'm going to jump in there and just throw my 2 cents worth on that of my experiences. There was a guy back home in West Virginia named Willard Meadows. He was a coal miner. His son was a friend of mine, and we would go groundhog shooting. Woodchuck, you'd call them up there, I guess. And but anyway, Lawrence Meadows' wife would prepare raccoon for us. And that's the best I've ever tasted as far as raccoon.
My grandmother used to make them. My grandmother we had them for Thanksgiving one time.
Well, anyway, Mrs. Meadows would make those, but Willard, her husband, had a little bird dog looking dog. Looked like an English English pointer. Setter's what I'm trying to say. It was long haired, like an English setter, kind of blue belting or ticked up, tree dog, coon dog. It was a silent trailer. I also knew Fred Bright. I don't know if you've ever met Fred or not. He's
a black and tan man.
Black and tan man in Georgia now, originally I think from Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah. And Fred had a little poodle, black and tan cross, a little female that he was always telling me about, what a coon dog she was. Well, when we started the Winter Classic down in Georgia, Fred and I would go out to this one plantation and go hunting. And the first time we did that, he brought that poodle. She was amazing. She would go hunting like a hound, open on track, tree dog, accurate. So, sometimes they don't have to be a purebred hound to be a coon dog.
And that little brown and white collie type dog, he opened on a track. He wasn't tight mouth. I didn't see no holes in him except he wasn't a red dog.
Yeah.
And he was a lot of fun. If I had it to do over again, I'd have kept him. I'd have never got rid of him because he was just a lot of fun and he'd tree a lot of coon.
Yeah, I guess it was just my dad. Every dog we had in our yard when I was a kid growing up and all the way through, ears broke over like a hound. I never did have a pointy-eared dog.
This one went halfway up and drooped.
Drooped over, yeah. Well, I guess that would qualify. Okay. There. Well, awesome. So anyway, what do they tell you about this new dog you're going to go look at?
Well, the guy that described him, he's 90 years old. He still goes hunting, but he sits in the truck most of the time.
Well, heck, you're 85 and you go about every
86,
night. So 86 now.
Yeah, anyhow. He sits in a truck, but I bought a lot of dogs off him, and he never told me wrong about one yet. A lot of them were better than he said they were. And I'm just hoping he didn't make no mistake. He told me what he saw. He only hunted with it one time. He said, well, when he comes back, he's supposed to be back here Thursday or Friday. We're going hunting again. He says, I'm going to carry him completely by himself. I think he had him with one other dog that night. He said, I'll find out if there's any holes in him. And I said, I know you will. I says, I'm hoping my phone rings. So he says, you know me, I ain't going to call you just to say hello. Yeah. So I'm waiting on him to call me. Well, the guy that got him, though, is a heck of a hunter. And he's had his share of good dogs. And that's the only thing that bothered me. However, I said, what is it that he don't like about the dog? He said, Fred, he is a little tight mouth. He said, that bothers him. I said, that won't bother me unless he's silent.
Yeah.
I says, but I have a buddy here, just bought a dog, and he had another dog. He had a little English dog. And he didn't open a bit. He'd go hunting. You'd find him treed all the time somewhere. He started hunting him with a female that's too mouthy. Now the dog's opening perfect. He's just opening perfect, hunting with that female. And even when he don't take the female and hunts it by itself, it's opening now. When he first bought it, it didn't say a word except tree. I couldn't. That's the first one I ever seen do that. So,
well, I had the experience with a young plot dog. I called him Hoss. I hauled him around all over the country. He died at just shy of 12 years. But he was he was stone silent except on the tree until he was nearly 2 years old. And I was getting real upset with him. And then one night we shot a coon out in Arkansas, and it hit the ground and jumped up and took off. And he was tied at the tree. And man, that fired him up, and he opened every breath on that coon. And from that day on, he was an open-mouthed dog.
There you go.
It's crazy how that...
Hey, there's some funny stories you can tell about different dogs, and people say, I know that dog. He never opened. Then they see him a month later, they can't believe it's the same dog.
Does that lend some credence, maybe that old saying, guys say, I never saw him do that before.
Oh, yeah, that's the most famous line in coon dogs.
That's right.
That's the most famous line there is in coon dogs. First time I ever seen him do that before.
Well, listen, we got June coming up. Isn't that when American Redbone Days is held?
Yeah, I'm going to go to one of them. I don't know which one, national or American. American would be a little closer, I think, but it don't matter on me. I just jump in the truck and point it. I got a young kid that's got a English dog that's pretty good, and he thinks he put him in one hunt, and he did win it. So now he thinks he's going to win the world hunt, and he wants to go to every hunt there is.
Well, you got to have confidence in your dog.
Yeah, well, he's got the confidence, that's for sure.
Well, where is American Days this year?
American is at Kell City, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Been
and
there many
times. The other one
times.
is in the Walker Man's backyard, Peru, Indiana.
Yeah. Down there, Rust Belt country.
Yeah.
Well, that's all good coon country. So,
I want to hunt in Russ's deer pen. They tell me it's full of coon, and he owes me one anyhow. So he hunted with me in a PKC hunt years ago, and he'll tell you the truth. He liked the gold dog I had. And,
well, he had a little Redbone female he was hunting.
Still got, I understand from other people that he's still got a couple red dogs.
Yeah, he had that one, I think he called her Get Ahead Red.
That's when he got killed, I believe.
Yeah.
But somebody told me he got 2 or 3 right now. Curtis Hilburn came down here 2 years in a row to catch snakes. He's into the snake key. And I says, I don't fool with them. When I see him, I shoot him. But I hooked him up with a kid that catches a lot of them. He just likes to catch them. In fact, a week before Curtis come, I think he told me he got 53 in one afternoon.
Oh, my.
And he catches nothing but copperheads and rattlesnakes. And we don't have that many, but you got to know where to look. But this kid, that's all he does. He loves catching them.
Well, and Curtis has gone through some transitions. He's got a beard like Phil Robinson. He looks like a Duck Dynasty.
He had it when he came here. and he took Curtis out. And we got up here nowadays, you got to buy a permit to hunt snakes, and you're only allowed to kill one a season. To me, that's crazy. But he didn't get a rattlesnake big enough, but he got a copperhead that was big enough, and he took that home. At least that's what the kid told me. I just introduced him, and I left, and they went on their way snake hunting.
There's an old boy down in West Virginia. He said them snakes won't hurt you, but they sure might make you hurt yourself.
Well, I never forgot the first time I went to Romney, West Virginia. I'd seen 3 or 4 dead copperheads on the road on the way to the hunt. And then when I got drawn out in a cast, and we're climbing this hill, and all I'm doing is looking every 2 seconds where I put my hand to see if there's a copperhead there.
I think Romney is that in Hampshire County, I believe. It's in the eastern part of the northeastern. Yeah, for sure.
And I seen quite a few there. I got a good friend that lives in Petersburg, West Virginia, Johnny Kuntz. He's an old bear hunter. Well, he quit now finally. He's back into horses. He went to coon hunting. He had his share of good coon dogs. Then he went to squirrel dogs. Now he's into horses. I don't know what's going to be next. But he told me of some of the rattlesnakes that he
Oh yeah.
killed right on the road, with the car. He says they got a lot of them
Well,
down
in
there.
that high country and all, they get the timber rattlers,
Yeah,
and then you find the copperheads more around the old farms and homesteads
right.
and places like that. Down here, it's the darn cottonmouths, anywhere. And it's been terribly dry here in Florida, and I haven't been hunting. Don't have a dog down here right now. My dogs are up in Virginia and North Carolina.
Well, your feed bill's not much, huh?
Well, those guys expect me to share with them.
Oh,
They've gotten smart on me. But
Kerry Rooks told
yeah,
me a good two
Georgia.
months ago
Yeah.
yet that his kid was out squirrel hunting a good warm day, and he killed a rattlesnake almost 6 foot long. He said it
Oh,
was a
my.
big one. They
They've
get
got
that
those big
warm.
ones in Georgia. They really do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get that warm weather. They come out to sun
Mm.
themselves.
I don't, the old no shoulders and I don't get along. I'll leave him alone if he'll leave me alone. We'll just go different directions.
Kerry also told me one time he's got a lot out in the woods where he keeps some of his dogs. He owns the property now. He said he went to feed the dogs one morning. He says, and he had a good little plot dog. I think it was a night champion dog. And he said the pot was laying dead there, and there was a
Mm.
water moccasin next to it dead. Well, the dog killed the snake, and the snake killed the dog.
Got bit probably in the neck or something, all
Yeah,
heated up and
yeah.
yeah. Well, those creepy crawly things. Unfortunately, Florida's full of them, different kinds.
Yeah,
Alligators, and now they got these darn pythons. Those Burmese pythons
yeah. I
that are
read about
huge.
him having where they catch him and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
fortunately, they never survive up here. But
well,
that's
you say you're thinking about going to Redbone days.
I'm thinking about it. I don't know which one I'll go to, but I'm
Yeah.
seriously giving it some thought. Uh, like I say, I only got to one dog right now, but I feel she's as good as anything else I've run lately. That I have as good a chance as
Sure.
somebody else.
Absolutely.
You know as well as I do, you can have the greatest dog in the world. There's still some luck in
You
it.
got to have some breaks, that's for sure. Absolutely. Uh, what about Autumn Oaks this year?
I'll go there too, probably this year.
Yeah.
I missed it last year, but I feel I'll go there.
Well, I'm
Uh,
hoping that UKC has the media area that they set up for us last year for our podcast.
uh-huh.
And it was great. It was there in their headquarters area, and had tables and stuff there, and we had our own area that we could kind of
Private,
corral people and bring them in and sit down and
yeah.
record with them and all. It
Well,
was a
that
lot of
helps.
fun.
That
Yeah,
helps.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, tell me.
sometime when you got a bad day, you play it back and laugh and say, "Was I dumb enough to ask that question?"
Oh, I do that all the time when I play these things back for sure. Well, listen, tell me about a hunt you and Patty have had lately, or maybe
Well,
something
the
that's
last one was just Saturday night, and I mainly went out to this woods. I called the farmer and told him I was coming, and he says, "Help yourself." And I wanted to see a place about 2 miles from there, or maybe a little further. I heard it was for sale, and I says, the way the kid's describing to me, that's a place I used to hunt all the time. The guy died about 5 years ago, but I know his daughter still owns the property, and I hunt across the road, and I used to hunt with her, the one son. He don't hunt anymore. He's a cop in Washington, Pennsylvania. And so we went hunting there, and then we went down to the place to see if that property was for sale. There was no signs on none of the poles or trees or anything, but yet this boy that told me about it, he got it off the internet that it was for sale. I called him the next day. I said, that can't be the farm you're talking about. I said, and I even went up around the bend because that's still considered Sugar Run Road, and I didn't see nothing for sale up there unless it's sold already and they took the sign down. So I said, you have to I'll tell you how to get there, but you go there in the daytime, you'll have a better idea if any of it is for sale. But we hunted this place where I told you you're not allowed to hunt, and there's coon galore there. I already just by riding the road and using a spotlight, I've seen 28 coon there one night. You go one place, see 2 or 3, go a little further. It's a place to start puppies. If they don't start there, they'll never start. So, but we didn't stay long and we came home early. But she hasn't been hunting lately, and I called her to go. And in fact, I called her tonight. I said, "You going to go?" She says, "I don't know. I don't feel like it." So whether she goes or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got some paperwork to do, but as soon as I get done with it, I'll go out probably at least tree one coon right near home here. Hopefully a tree.
Well, how's your weather been up there this spring?
Good, real good. It's been chilly today. It's been chilly this morning, but it ain't too bad now. But we've had good weather. We had a lot of rain at different times, but I don't care.
Well, we could use your rain. It did rain here last night. Overnight, I was surprised that I'd left some trash containers out, and they had, looked like a couple inches of rain in the bottom. So that's encouraging because it's been terribly, terribly dry down here. But
I had a big coon yesterday. My daughter-in-law, she's got chickens too, only 6 or 7. She went to feed the chickens in the morning before she went to work, and there was a big coon there eating some of the chicken feed that was spilled over. And she told me about it. I set a trap, and I caught the thing, and he was a good 18-pound coon. So I took the coon out to a friend's farm and took the dog and turned it loose. And for some reason, I have an idea why. I had my back turned, and I let the coon out. The coon got out and took off right away, and he went through a jungle. I mean, all logs laying everywhere. I took her over there and turned her loose, and that dog didn't run now. That bothered me. She just but I think what it is, I turned some possums loose out of that cage and shocked her. And I really think she thought she was going to get shot.
I'll bet you she did. Bet you.
She wouldn't run. I coaxed her and everything. She went back to the truck, jumped in the dog bone. But I hunted her that night, and she did good.
Sure.
You know.
They don't forget things like that.
No,
Fred.
they don't.
They're intelligent animals. Well, I've got this. Well, I have a partner on this young plot dog. He's just now 18 months old. He's had, he made night champion. He made water race champion. He made show champion.
Yeah, I was reading that.
He got his HTX for 3 passes, hunting by himself and all that. My buddy Mark said, I think it was last night, he turned him loose. And of course, Mark's in the mountains there in North Carolina. He said he turned that dog loose, and he showed me his track on the Garmin screen. The dog had covered over 2 miles up around this top of this mountain and back down and all, and didn't get after a thing. Then he said this morning on his way to work, just after 5 o'clock, he saw 2 coons cross the road. So, I guess for our listeners out there that may wonder, when you go out and you have a bad night and you don't tree a coon, it's not always about your dogs.
No, that's for sure.
Isn't that right?
I do a lot. I haven't done it this year at all, but I do a lot of daylight hunting. People don't believe in that, but I do. I'll go right soon as I don't have to use the light anymore. That way I don't have to pack it, just
Right.
as it's breaking day. And I've treated coon up till 9:30 in the morning a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I've treated as high as 4 in the morning. Just depends where you go. But always go where there's water. If you go where there's water,
Yeah.
you're usually tree a coon. And I'll never forget this. I told the story 100 times. I was in the woods one day and I started before daylight, but I didn't take the light. I figured I know this woods like the back of my hand. I could get through it no problem at all. Well, the dog's gone. The dog's at least 250 yards straight out ahead of me. And I hear something between the dog and me coming toward me, and it's hopping. And to me, I thought that's a fox. He's just hopping every once in a while. But I waited till he got close. I did have a light on me. That's right. I forgot about that. I did wait till he got close. And when he got, maybe 30 yards, I shined a light on him. And you'll never guess what it was. I thought sure it was a fox, but it wasn't. It was a big fox squirrel, and he was hopping, and that's what I heard. And he went down he went, of all places to go to get away, he went down a groundhog hole. And I couldn't believe,
Wow.
I thought, I wonder if you'd live there. But I never heard of one ever living in a groundhog hole, but that's where he went.
Well,
So,
when I was a kid, I was raised by a Tennessee farm boy. Grew up in the woods. My dad and his brothers, they hunted. They hunted
where'd you live
everything.
in Tennessee?
Pardon me?
Where'd you live at in
Actually,
Tennessee?
my dad was raised. I was
What
raised
town?
Dixon, just west
I
of
know right where
Nashville.
it's at. I know where it's at.
Yeah, it's in. Well, they were out in the
Right
county.
below. Well, wait. There's two Dixons. One's below Kentucky line. The other one's down near Smith County, Carthage, Tennessee. Ain't it?
This is Dixon County. It's just about 30 miles west of Nashville, right on Interstate 40 going toward Jackson or toward Memphis. But
Okay.
anyway, Dad was raised on a farm. They hunted everything, with cur dogs. And when I was just a kid and started squirrel hunting, my dad taught me how, if you shoot a squirrel and it gets in a hollow limb on you or something, a lot of times you'd hit a squirrel, maybe didn't kill it, and it would get into a place, or a rabbit in a hole. He taught me how to twist them out. Did you ever do that?
Wire or a twig.
Well, actually, or like a briar or a twig, and you can stick it. Now, I don't know. It's probably not legal to molest game in their dens, and we didn't do that as a practice of just trying to catch something that wasn't injured. But if we had crippled it, that was the deal. You shoot to kill.
Right.
You try to humanely kill everything, but and don't leave it crippled if you can help it. And so he taught me, how to stick that stick up in there and just twist it, and it'll curl up in that fur, and you can pull them out of there, So, but I never ran one in a groundhog hole that I know of.
Well, I thought that was really odd. I did. I often wondered, did you live there, or did you just happen to go there because I shined a light on you?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
those
really
fox
don't know.
squirrels up in your country can get pretty good size, can't they?
Yeah, we got big fox squirrels,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of them. And we got the black squirrels too.
Mhm.
Quite a few in my area. I have guys from other parts of Pennsylvania come here every year wanting to get a black squirrel because they don't have none in their area. But we got a good bit, especially where I used to live. That hillside's full of them.
Well,
And,
in the deep south, along swamps and stuff and all, they have, I guess, in the little hardwood ridges and all, they have these fox squirrels that are huge. They're like a cat, and they might have a white nose. They
Yeah.
can be multicolored.
I've seen them.
Yeah, the first one of those I saw, I said, "Man, that looks like a cat. I'm not going to eat that thing."
But
Yeah,
Ohio got a lot of black squirrels. That's not uncommon in
yeah.
Ohio. They got
Michigan too, southern
okay.
Michigan. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, Fred, it's been almost an hour that we've been gabbing here today, and
Well, you ought to have enough stuff
oh
for
man,
to entertain some poor old soul.
it's all golden. It's all great. I got something here before.
Like Joe Bloodworth used to say, another poor soul made happy.
Happy. That's right. Well, I want to, while I got you on the line here before we close this thing out, I want to tell the listeners out there about a giveaway that I have going now. My good friend Big Mark Zepp, and you know him well, Fred.
No, I don't know that guy.
He's a
don't connect us.
Redbone man.
Don't connect us at all.
Boy, I tell you, you talk about extremes. To take a picture of you and Big Mark together now.
Mike's probably got some pictures because he's been here 4 or 5 times, and he took pictures of us together. And that I had him down that place that you ain't allowed to go, and it was winter time. There was probably 6 inches of snow, but we made, I think, 3 den trees. Never saw a coon on the outside. And he came here. Well, he's been here at least 4 or 5 times.
Right.
He's a good guy. He tells it like it is.
They don't come better. Well, I want to tell my listeners here a little bit about this contest that I got going on. We're having a weekly Zepp Lifetime Squaller giveaway. Mark's Lifetime Squaller is that metal one with the paracord lanyard on it.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you got to hear this.
All right.
I got one sent to me through the mail, and it says, to Fred Moran, the Redbone man, and it has a number 5 on it. I called him up. I said, I thought we were better buddies than that. How am I number 5? That's what I wanted. Yeah.
Oh, well, Mark, he's been a good friend of mine ever since I met him out in Sedalia, Missouri back in the 80s, the weekend that he came out to interview with John Wick to go to work for Wick Outdoors. But at any rate, to the listeners out there, I'm running a contest every week on Facebook, and if you can answer the question of the week, I will put your name on this wheel of names, which is a random spinning wheel. And if your name's selected, you will get the Lifetime
This
Squaller.
is almost like Price is Right.
This is the Price is Right. That's right. Come on down. So now let me read this to them, Fred, just for a minute. All listeners that correctly answer the question of the week will be eligible for the drawing each Friday. Names will be placed on the Wheel of Names app and be publicly drawn on a Facebook Live post. All correct answers received before the drawing time on Friday evening will be accepted. The weekly prize is a Zepp's Lifetime Coon Squaller, a $30 retail value. All of this is posted on Facebook on my page, friends. If you want to check this out, it's something to do on those quiet nights when you can't go hunting. Look in there.
I'll tell Patty. I'll tell you what. No, I'm not taking nothing away from Mark because they work, and that's the kind I use. However, Patty brought along one night a little squirrel call.
Uh-oh.
She's made more coon look with that little squirrel call than anything I ever saw.
You heard it first.
It don't sound nothing like a coon squalling or anything else, but for some reason they look.
They must come out to say, what the heck was that?
We're thinking about manufacturing and putting Mark out of business.
There we go. All right, folks. Well, I've been spending an hour here, as have you, with the incomparable Fred Moran, the Redbone man, 86 years old, still hunting every night that he can with his red dogs. Fred, it's great to have you on. We'll call you again here before long.
I appreciate
and
your
we'll
call.
catch up. You bet,
All
buddy.
Right. You take care.
All right, Fred.
We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye. Folks, it's always a joy to talk to Fred Moran. He is, as you can tell, never at a lack of words. Amazing recall. Think about it, friends. 85, 86 years old and still hunting, still actively enjoying his dogs, going around the country, picking up a dog that he's interested in, just living the dream, man. I just hope that I can live that long and enjoy the sport as long as he has. Once again, look on my Facebook page, Stephen F. Fielder, for the details of the weekly ZEP Lifetime Squaller giveaway. What we're going to do is we'll give away one squaller each week, and then at the end of the month, we'll put the winners' names into the spinning wheel, and we'll pick a grand prize winner for that month. Well, this whole voice is just about given out for this episode. This is the old coon hunter, Steve Fielder. Mighty glad to have shared this hour or so with you again. If anyone should ask you, where is Steve Fielder? Tell him he's out there practicing with that Zep coon squaller. He's gone to the dogs.